Hey guys, it's Gump with Lucky Trader, here to talk to you guys today about the most riveting topic everybody's always asking about. I'm just kidding. Stablecoin farming. Market's been a little choppy, so a lot of people, myself included, if you feel like you need safety, maybe you swap some ETH into USDC, USDT, DAI, all the, not thousands, but there are a lot of stablecoins out there that you can get into, and they're all generally about the same, right? They're pegged to the dollar, etc., etc. So what can we do with them besides feel safer? You can make them work for you. So today we're going to go over a couple different stablecoin farming strategies that you can do on a bunch of different chains, but not ETH, and I'll explain why here. Okay, kind of just went over this. Instead of letting them sit in your wallet, put them to work. They can make anywhere from 0 to 30, 40, 50%, different degrees of risk. There's different ways to do it, different sites you can go to. So we'll go through those. The ones that you'll see where stablecoins are over 1,000%, I go back to the saying, your parents probably said to you a lot. If it's too good to be true, probably is. So I try to stay away from those. You can look into them, do research on them. If you're looking for something you can put your money into and not lose sleep at night, I generally stay away from those unless there's some anomaly that makes them palatable. All right, DeFi on Ethereum. I know a lot of people who trade NFTs on Ethereum, on OpenSea. They mint stuff, they flip it, they've got a lot of money sitting around, maybe they've swapped into some stables, and they want to go to work. Here's the problem with Ethereum. It's the gas. So unless you're going in with an insane amount of size, I'm talking like 10, 15, $20,000 for a long period of time, you're saying, I'm going to put it in here for 6 months. By the time you get to 6 months on, say, a $1,000 deposit on an Ethereum Mainnet site, the gas is going to instantly chew up just to approve the token to be deposited, deposit it, withdraw it, and then say swap to something else. That's 3 or 4 transactions. Your profits are going to be gone. So if you have massive amounts of size, 50,000, 100,000, big amounts of stablecoins that you want to yield farm with, there's options on Ethereum. They're pretty limited just because most of these stablecoin farms we're going to look at, the reason why they're offering you the returns that they are is because they need liquidity for their site. They might be a DEX, they might be a lender, they might be a site that takes your money and tries to do more with it and gives you a cut for giving them that chance. But in general, I do not stablecoin farm on ETH. I generally, if I want to do it, I will bridge my funds over to any of these other chains. We'll go back here for a second. Avalanche, Polygon, Fantom, Harmony, Terra. There's tons of them. I mean, I couldn't fit them all on this one page. In addition to ETH compatible chains, we'll talk about a yield farm on Terra that's really popular and pretty solid. There are options on Sol, Cosmos, etc. I don't look into those a ton. I know the offerings on Sol are fairly limited since they're more in the gaming NFT focused right now. Not a lot of DeFi projects are building on Solana. There are options though. And then Cosmos, which is the newest chain I'm trying to learn more about. I'm sure there's great options on there. I just haven't found any myself. Bridges, I'll revisit this at the end, but to get to all these different chains, there's a bunch of different ways you can bridge. When you first start out, I would personally recommend, again, do your own research, but almost all these chains have their own bridge that they have developed that they know works. They tested it, they stand behind it. If something goes wrong, you can contact them, they'll fix it. I know this is true for Polygon, they have their own bridge. Avalanche has their own bridge. I don't know that there's a Fantom bridge. There probably is. I have not used it. And I haven't used it because of this next point, which is these I call them third-party bridges. So like Synapse, Multi-Chain, Hop Exchange. These are other bridges that you can use that can be faster. I know I use Synapse a lot if I'm bridging stablecoins from Fantom to Avalanche or from Harmony to Polygon. I will use Synapse. Going back to the chain bridges, those are the best if you have Ethereum on ETH Mainnet that you want to bridge over to those other chains. That's where I would start. If you're going to Avalanche, go to the Avalanche bridge. I'll find all the links to these and we'll get them in the description for you. They're pretty self-explanatory. There is some documentation you can read about how the bridge works. I would recommend that. Essentially, you're giving the Avalanche Network your ETH and saying, please make this into a compatible ETH on Avalanche. And it goes over. That's a really simplified explanation, but I won't go into those details. Okay, so let's get into the good stuff here. We'll go over here and I'm going to start on Avalanche just because it's the largest, one of the largest L1 or L2s that's out there. There are a lot of projects that are building on it right now. So there's new stuff that comes out every week. If you follow the Avalanche founder, any of the founders on Twitter, they're always tweeting out new DeFi platforms and projects that come out. I'm going to go through more established ones that I trust more. They have higher TVL, total value locked. So on all of these, you can see how much money has been deposited into this pool. And my general rule of thumb is the higher the TVL, the more people have deposited or the more money is deposited, and the, in heavy quotes, safer it will be. None of these are safe. There's always contract risk to all of these. Exploits can happen to any project at any time. It can happen to OpenSea, it can happen to Aave, it can happen to anywhere. So I don't want to give the impression that these are completely risk-free, but the ones we're going to go through, their contracts have been audited, they are widely used by all kinds of different crypto users, from the whales to the people with $1,000 of USDC that they want to earn money on. So just keep that in mind. I always would recommend reading the documentation on all these websites. It kind of explains to you the mechanics of how they're giving you these returns. My explanation is, as I mentioned earlier, they want your liquidity to either lend to someone else for a higher interest rate, just like a traditional bank. You put your money in the savings account and they give someone a home loan and they make money doing that. Or, as you'll see in a few of these, they will take your money because they think they can do more with it, and they'll still give you a return, and then they'll take a portion off the top for their profit. So it's similar to kind of like a financial advisor. We can think of it that way. I have personally used on Avalanche before is Alpha Homora. They originally were on Ethereum, and then they recently expanded to Avalanche when Avalanche first launched. So you can do a simple, again, most of these are just deposits. They're not liquidity pools. You have to pair them with something else. They're auto-compounding. This is one of those. These tend to fluctuate quite a bit. Alpha Homora is a lending site, so if you wanted to borrow money, you could also go to Alpha Homora as well. So they offer deposits for USDT, USDC, and DAI. Again, they fluctuate based on how much money is in it and how much of that pool is being borrowed. That's this utilization rate right here. Now, the one thing I want to point out about Alpha Homora that's a little bit different than deposit MIM, earn MIM, is if you hover over here. So we have 13.28% on USDT. That is composed of around 9% will be paid to you in USDT. Constant auto compounding. Now, 2.5% is paid in AVAX. AVAX is the native token of Avalanche. That's how you pay gas, etc., etc. And then another 2% in Alpha. That's their, what I would call a farm token, or their native token. Now on here, those are earned for a 2-week period. They have these farming periods that last for 2 weeks. And then at the end of the period, you can go claim your earned AVAX and alpha and cash those out or swap them out on Trader Joe if you want. So don't look at 13.28 on here and just assume that's all going to be in USDT. There's pros and cons to both of these. Sometimes they'll do incentivized pools where this AVAX percentage will be bumped up quite a bit. Even I've seen into the double-digit range. So something to be mindful of there. Okay, let's go to Polygon, formerly known as Matic. So since Polygon is a older chain, it's been around longer, there's more money on it. People who are wanting to farm on here have been farming for a long time, so we won't see as good of yields, but there are still some pretty decent options if you already have funds on Polygon. The first one I want to talk about is this. This is kind of how I got into DeFi, is learning about Aave. Aave is one of the largest by TVL, you see $6 billion, sorry, money market protocols out there, and they have, you can do this on ETH, Polygon, and Avalanche, and I believe they're going to expand to other chains in the future. Don't know where, don't know which ones, but they're definitely one of the most community trusted. Not to say again that's 100% safety, but I've used them for a long time. It's an easy place just to deposit your money and park it there. You can withdraw it whenever you want. There's no fees to deposit, no fees to withdraw, so on and so forth. So on Polygon's Aave, I found the best rates for Aave are on Polygon. Let's look at, what's the best one today? USDT. Okay, so this deposit APY, this means if you deposit your USDT into Aave on Polygon, you will get 7.4% paid to you APY, so it includes any compounding, in the USDT coin. Now what these chains do as well is they have funds that they give to Aave. So the Polygon team says, Aave, we're going to give you some Matic to also give out to incentivize people to deposit money on here. That's what this 3.66% APR is. It's probably kind of hard to read on the screen, but essentially you are also getting 3.66% paid to you in Matic tokens. So if you deposit in here and you take the native token APR, APY plus the Matic, you're getting, I don't know, around 11%. So you could claim that extra Matic whenever you want, convert it to USDT and add more into your deposit. You can swap it out for ETH, whatever you want to do. So just know that you're getting 7.4 plus 3.66. So that's Aave. Aave is really simple. You can also do leverage trading on here if you want to, but it's, as far as a point, click, and forget about it, Aave is one of the best protocols in my opinion. Okay, let's go to Balancer real quick. All right, this is a less well-known platform on Polygon that I found watching some other videos on my own in the past. It's called Balancer. You can do this on a couple different chains. This one's on Polygon, and I already have pulled up their stable pool. So unlike the options we've talked about so far, where you just deposit your stables and you get your return and you forget about it, this one is a pool so that people can swap from USDC to DAI to USDT, so on and so forth. This is one where they want your liquidity. You'll see here you can deposit any of these tokens and you will get roughly 13.2% APR. And if you hover over this little icon here, you can kind of see how those are paid out. So similar to Aave, it's not all paid out in stablecoins, but there are other coins that you are paid in. So in this one, it breaks it down for you. 3% in the BAL token, that's their native again, I call it a farm token just because it's the site's coin that they created to pay out rewards in. You're also getting some Matic, 4.5%, and you're getting 4.5% TUSD, which is just true USD. It's another stable coin. It's a less popular one, but still paid to the dollar. So this would be a way to farm your stables and also get exposure to some different coins maybe you don't have yet. You can still swap them out whenever you want once you harvest those. So that's Polygon. Let's do Fantom. Fantom's an interesting one. It's a pretty rapidly growing chain. I gotta switch to the Fantom Network here. So it's a pretty fast growing chain. There's a lot of buzz about it in the DeFi community on Twitter and in Discords. This is probably the most popular DeFi site that I know of on Fantom. There's a lot of good options, but I wanted to highlight Beefy Finance. So this is similar to YieldYak in that they'll go out to all the different options on Fantom and pull them into one spot for you, so you can just go down the list and see what sites offer what without having to go to them individually and deposit all over the place and keep track of all your sites. They have an interface where you can just give them your dollars, they'll invest it for you, and you still get the return. Okay, options on here. So I went in here to the Fantom Network, I filtered to stables, and then we're just gonna go down the list here and see what catches our eye. All right, so right off the bat, I see these 4 pools. These are just single-sided staking pools. So you just deposit 1 token and you get paid in said token. You can open it up to see the details. They have a mechanism called Moo Scream USDT for FUSDT. Moo is the Beefy Finance version of a receipt. So they're saying, okay, we'll give you your receipt for your USDT, and then you can turn that receipt back in at the end when you want your actual USDT back. It's still pegged to the dollar. It's not going to go up or down. It's not going to go anywhere unless you burn it to a burn address or you send it somewhere else. As long as you keep that receipt, you can trade it back in later. So if you wanted something simplified, again, this is a good option. You can deposit your money in here, get your receipt, save it, turn it in later. So 20% on stablecoins is really good. That's kind of like the benchmark for this is a really good way to put my dollars to work. Like I mentioned TVL earlier, $30 million in this pool, 25 in this one, 19 in this one. So there's a decent amount of money in these pools. If you wanted to go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, you could do this DAI USDC liquidity pool deposit. So it says use a Spirit Swap. That's one of the main exchanges on Fantom. So Spirit Swap is offering this pool. Again, they want your liquidity so that users can swap their DAI for USDC and vice versa. Without you being a liquidity provider, they are not able to provide that service or offer that service for people. So you're going to get not only a percentage of fees anytime someone does that swap as a liquidity provider, but they're also incentivizing you by giving you extra rewards on top to provide that liquidity. So it's a similar mechanic here. The only difference would be is you have to go to Spirit Swap and purchase the DAI USDC LP token. So if you have DAI and you have USDC and you have equal parts, 1,000 of one and 1,000 of other, you go to Spirit Swap, put them together, and then you get this liquidity pool token in return. We can go there real quick and check that out. Okay, so we go in here. Throat's been so dry lately. Let's see. Oh, I gotta connect here. Some of these don't let you view their options until you connect. So you'd go to add liquidity, You can choose USDC. We can choose DAI. You would put in, 1,000 over here, and then it would ask you for 996 over here. And then you would click supply. And once you do that, if I had the balance, this is just a test wallet. Once you do that, you will get that LP token, and then you could go back to Beefy and deposit it, and you would start getting your 30% return. Okay, so that's Fantom. I use Beefy Finance. There's a lot of people clearly by the TVL that use it. They do offer it on several different chains. If you wanted to check out the Beefy options on Avalanche, you can. On Polygon, you can. Okay, let's go to a really new chain, one of my favorite chains as a DeFi Kingdoms maxi, and that is Harmony. So right now on Harmony, there is not a ton of options as far as DeFi. So I'm going to move my face here. I'll move my face up here so you can see. So this is one of the earliest DeFi projects that came out on Harmony. It's called Tranquil. And they are paying you right now, the best offering is USDC for 11 and change percent, right? So similar to Aave, you'll notice it looks really similar. Some people call it an Aave fork or a money market. Their similar principle is a deposit, and you can borrow money from there if you wanted. So we hover over this, you're getting 7.7% in USDC, that's what it means by market, and then another 3.5%-ish in their farm token, which they don't tell you very plainly here, but their farm token is called Trank for Tranquil. I expect this one to grow a bit as far as TVL is concerned. You see there's already 322 million for a new chain that Harmony is. That's pretty good. As more money gets deposited in here, though, you'll start to see these APYs go down because they don't need to incentivize you as much because they have plenty of money to lend out. So that's Harmony. If this is your first foray into DeFi or stablecoin farming, it's probably not where I would start, but if you wanted to check in on these every once in a while and see how they're looking compared to other sites and other chains, definitely would recommend that. All right, let's go to the grand finale here. Okay, we're going to talk about Anchor. So Anchor is a really popular high TVL platform on the Terra network. So not an Ethereum compatible network, so to speak. There are bridges now where you can bridge money from the Ethereum network to Terra, but you'll have to set up a separate wallet. I use Terra Station, is probably the most widely known wallet in the Terra ecosystem. But Anchor has been around as long as I've been doing DeFi. They offer you 20-ish% on UST. UST is just Terra's version of USDT, right? It's their stablecoin. It's US Terra. So again, pegged to the dollar. So if you have stablecoins and you want to get into Terra, maybe you have a Terra wallet already and hold Luna, and you're already set up on there, you can send UST from Ethereum over to your Terra wallet and deposit it into Anchor. This APY has been ticking down ever so slightly, but it's been hovering around 20 for at least a couple months. It doesn't get tanked as much when there's more money that goes into it. There are other things you can do on here I won't talk about. They have a Luna, B-Luna mechanic. It will take way too long to explain, so we won't go there. You can also borrow. You notice this common theme. All these websites and projects, protocols, whatever you want to call them, they want your dollars. They're going to give you a return on it so that they can lend it out. And that is how they secure a profit. So here's a question I get a lot. when I make that statement. Well, what if somebody borrows and they don't repay their loan? When you borrow money from these sites, you have to put up collateral, and if you don't repay your loan and your collateral, the price goes down below a certain point, it gets liquidated and the site just takes your money if you are a borrower. So just because someone doesn't repay their loan does not put your money at risk unless everybody in the world who borrows from them, no one pays their loans back, and the site essentially goes broke. I can't tell you that I have ever personally seen that happen. I'm sure that it has. My bottom line is that's not a risk to your dollars on a micro level. Somebody not repaying their loan when they borrow money. You are not lending to a person. You're basically giving it to a bank and they lend it out to that person. If someone doesn't pay their mortgage, the bank doesn't take your savings account because they didn't pay their mortgage. Think about it that way. Okay, so those are a few of my hand-picked stablecoin farms. Again, I'm sure there's a ton of options that have higher APRs or APYs on different chains that I did not cover. Definitely explore. I think these are easy options to get into and pretty self-explanatory. There's a lot of protocols where you can do loops and borrowing and leverage trading. That's definitely for more advanced users. I would not dabble in that until you feel comfortable with DeFi and with depositing and lending, how that works. Okay, so let's touch on the bridges again. So I'm going to get these links and put them in the description. Just be very cognizant when you're doing these bridges that sometimes there will be a place to send the money to a different address. Just make sure that's your address in there. Read the documentation for all of these sites that I've talked about, all of these bridges. If your bridge gets stuck or it takes a while, some of these take 5-10 minutes. I've had bridges take half an hour if the network is congested. Chances are it will show up. If it doesn't show up, you contact the bridge and they fix it. Okay, so that's stablecoin farming. Hoping to do a lot more of these DeFi videos. I thought this was a good one for right now just because of the market being kind of choppy, up and down, red and green every day. So it feels good to know that I have stablecoins that are working for me right now. It's kind of, I treat it as my savings account, I guess, with crypto. So instead of it sitting in your wallet, get 10%, get 20%. If you want to shoot for higher, you can shoot for higher at your own risk. Just always make sure you're comfortable with the site and read all of the documentation that you can. It can be very dry. I've been there. I've read a lot of the white papers, but it's helped me learn a lot along the way. So cool. Well, thank you guys for checking it out. Make sure you're subscribed to the Lucky Trader YouTube channel. This is where all of our DeFi videos will be posted. You can follow me on Twitter at GumpSkull5, and make sure you also follow the Lucky Trader official Twitter account, which will be in the description. So happy farming, everybody.